things we do that make us less likable, and some common interview questions and the answers. We'll take your chat questions, we'll take your calls, and it all starts right now. I am coming to you live from Ramsey Solutions Studios in Nashville, and you are joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do it, and then how you can get there. It is about your purpose, your why, through your work and in your work, because you really aren't all about your work, and yet your work is not something that is completely separate from who you are. You really are a relational and a professional human being. You were created to contribute in those two areas, in your relationships and in and through your work. And we're going to focus on the work aspect of it. Sometimes relationship questions come into the conversation, of course. But we want to help you figure out how to take back your Mondays and work like no one else, because you are in your sweet spot, using what you do best to do work that you love to do, to produce results that matter to you. That is meaningful work. And there's 7 stages, like a climb up a mountain to that dream job, to truly give yourself away. They are: stage 1, get clear. Stage 2, get qualified. Stage 3, get connected. Stage 4, get started. Stage 5, get promoted. Stage 6, get the dream job. Stage 7, give yourself away, where you are working no longer for money or status. It's just about delivering results that are significant to you. So if that is something that appeals to you, and you've got questions, the good news is you have the answers as well. It's my job to listen to your questions, dig through my own questions, and help you see what stage you're in and then how you get to the next stage. 844-747-2577 is the phone number, 844-747-2577. All right, I love articles and sharing with you folks data that is relevant to you, the worker, around the globe. And sometimes we get opinion pieces that are based on data, and those are my favorite. So, great article on LinkedIn from a guy named Travis Bradbury. I've had the privilege of interviewing Travis years ago. Does really good work. And there's some data in this article that I want to get to. So, start with that. By the way, when I read this list, I was like, oh boy, how many times am I doing these things that make us less likable? But let's talk about likability and why it's so important. By the way, it's one of the 5 qualities that I talk about that you can develop that'll make you promotable. Likable is one of them. Study conducted at UCLA that rated over 500 descriptions of people based on their perceived significance to likability. The top-rated descriptors had nothing to do with being charismatic or gregarious, intelligent, or attractive. Instead, the top descriptors were sincerity, transparency, and capable of understanding another person. So I'd call that empathy. Now, here's what's interesting. Gregarious, intelligent, attractive, these are innate. You have what you have. I guess someone could make the case that through plastic surgery you could become more attractive, but hey, that's not my jam. So these are innate characteristics. But interesting, the top descriptors were characteristics that we can actually develop and increase: sincerity, transparency, and empathy. Talent Smart did some research and came up with data from more than 1 million people that shows that people who possess those skills aren't just very likable, they outperform people professionally, and I think you could make the case personally, they outperform people who don't have those characteristics. All right, so here we go. I want to get through some of these. So Travis Bradbury, he gathers all this and he digs. He does a lot of research, so he digs and found some research that said that just 1 in 2,000 leaders who are considered unlikable, not likable, are considered effective. Hello, that's a wake-up call for leaders. I'm already, Joe, developing a leadership talk based on this. Likability. It's really huge. So what are the behaviors that hold you back from being likable? Or if you look at these individually, you behave like this, and I have, and so have you. So no one's skating free on this list. Hello. But these behaviors can make us very unlikable in a situation. And if we practice these behaviors, in other words, these are habitual behaviors, we really are an unlikable person. Here we go. And by the way, I laughed out loud at some of these because I was like, man, I've done this. Maybe did it yesterday. I don't know. Here we go. Humble bragging. This is the example of a humble brag. The guy who makes fun of himself for having a strict diet when all he really wants us to know is how healthy and fit he is. You know what I'm talking about? Oh my gosh. I'm such a nerd when it comes to the kale. I'm such a kale freak. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, thanks, pal. You want us to know that you eat a lot of kale and thus you're healthier and thus smarter than us. I mean, that's what's really going on. Here's one. Being too serious. Likable people balance their passion for their work with the ability to have fun. So they could be serious yet friendly. So you can be really intense with your work, but make sure you have some fun and you goof off. Because if you're just walking around all the time, super serious, everybody thinks you're a robot and this person they can't have a conversation with or is too intense to be around. That's an unlikable quality. Okay, how about this one? Travis Bradbury did some research through his company, and they came across too many instances of people at work. Listen to this, folks. Throwing things, screaming, making people cry. And he calls this emotional hijacking. Just makes you unstable, instability. Ugh. People want to get away from that. Here's one I've done. Jeez, I was so embarrassed when I saw this. Whipping out your phone. You're mid-conversation, you get a text, and you pull out the phone. I mean, I'll demonstrate this one. For those of you watching live on YouTube, I'm talking to you right now. I get a text. You're shaking your head to the person right in front of you, and you're giving attention to a digital message. Oh, boy, we all do this. When you're engaged in a conversation, don't touch the phone. And boy, that's hard. That's a tough one. That's really tough. Gossiping. We get gossiping. If you're just always tearing somebody down, people just begin to not trust you. And then word gets back that you're a gossip. Nobody likes you. And then finally, having a closed mind. No one wants to have a conversation with someone who's already formed an opinion and is unwilling to listen. So be open-minded. By the way, being open-minded does not mean that you are unprincipled. It just means you're open-minded. So good stuff there. 844-747-2577 is the number to jump in. 844-747-2577. Let's go to Washington, where Mike joins us. Mike, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, Mike. What's going on?
Hey, well, thanks for having me on the call. I got a question for you.
Sure.
Yeah, I've been listening to your show for a couple months, and in listening and mentally going through your process as you help other people find their passion, their sweet spot, I came to realize that I've been working in my sweet spot for the last 6 years, and I just got to say how thankful I am to come to that realization. So my job's multifaceted, and I found that there's one area that is my sweet spot. And it got me thinking. I was like, okay, now that I've found the sweet spot, I got my dream job, everything's going the way I want it. If something were to change and I had to find another job, I'd want to continue working in this field. However, the prereqs for this position would need a bachelor's degree in industrial engineering, which I don't have. So the question is, do I pursue getting a degree to future-proof my work future?
But you're already doing the work of an industrial engineer?
For the most part, yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, here's the question I have. And you're going to have to inform me on this one because you know your field better than me.
Yeah.
If you're already doing the work of an industrial engineer for a company and you're doing it well, and that's the presumption that I'm making, given the experience you have and the skill sets of the industrial engineer that you already have, that presumably a degree would give you, do you really need a degree to get an industrial engineering job if you're already doing it?
That's the question. Yeah.
No, I know.
Like,
I mean, what I'm saying is, it's if you were straight out of school and you wanted to be an industrial engineer and you've never done the work, you have no experience, I think a degree that's what they try to do to whittle people down. They want to know if you've got the basics. But if you're doing it,
gotcha. Mm-hmm.
And you've already got experience doing it and skill sets of an active, successful industrial engineer, and you're applying for something and they go, do you have a degree? You go, no, I actually learned on the job and did all the training. I've been doing this. I just wonder if you need it. Maybe some companies are going to say, well, we really want you to have that. Other people with a brain, in my opinion, who can think outside of a box, going to go, well, you already are an industrial engineer. So all that being said, I want you to really do your homework on this and see, is it really something that's going to trip you up? If it comes down to a 50-50 and it's all subjective opinion, depending on who you talk to, then yeah, I would, then I think maybe you go get the degree. But my normal answer on any degree is, if it is the only way or the best way, then do it. If it's not the only way or the best way to get to a ticket to the dance that you want to be in, which you're already doing, then I wouldn't do it. Because here's what this boils down to. Do you think you're going to learn a whole lot if you were to go get an industrial engineering degree? Do you think you're going to learn a whole lot that you don't already know?
I think there's some things that would really make me a better engineer.
Great. Then I would say
weakness.
Then I would say do it.
Yeah.
Okay. In this situation, then I think it probably does help you.
Okay.
So yeah. Now the question is, can you cash flow it? Can you do it part-time? Because you're already working. So you're going to have to do this as you go, correct?
Yeah. So as I've been waiting for this phone call to work out, as I've been thinking and praying about it, what kind of brought me peace was doing whatever I can to take classes and bolster my skill set and work on the weakest areas that I have through, affordable classes, night classes, things that aren't part of a curriculum, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going to go next. That's where I was going to go next, is can you do some engineering courses that aren't traditional 4-year degrees and you still get that knowledge and you get proof of that knowledge? That would, to me, is the better play.
Yeah, and it looks like I can. So I did a lot of research on the requirements and the prereqs for an industrial, if I was looking for a job, what do they have on the thing? Yeah. And there's a bunch of stuff, and there's a lot of these, standalone classes that I think could get me up to speed and get me the certificates and accreditations. And that's kind of where I was leaning. Yeah.
Well, no, that's what you need. You don't need an undergrad. Okay. You don't need all this undergrad stuff that's not relevant. All they care about is, do you know how to do the engineer? Have you been trained? So if you can do that in a non-traditional degree, outside of a non-traditional degree, then yes, I run to that. Yes, you do need that. That's good. Thanks for the call, Mike. Keep doing what you're doing. You've already researched. Just go do it. Just cash flow your way through it. Be patient enough. Do not go into debt on this because, again, you're already gainfully employed. And I got to believe if you use the proximity principle, which says in order to do what you want to do, you got to be around people that are doing it. And in places where it is happening, I wrote about that principle in depth in my #1 best-selling book, The Proximity Principle. If you're already in industrial engineering and you know how to use the proximity principle, you're going to be okay. But still do this additional training, but I don't think you have anything to worry about. Let's go to Alberta, Canada next. Robert is on the line there. Robert, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
How you doing?
Good, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. How can I help?
A bit of a predicament. So I was on baby step number 2 pre-COVID, and then life happened, COVID happened, and I wasn't prepared. And obviously, as I'm getting back on track, I'm kind of challenged with my career. I work in automotive finance. I strictly get paid to put people in debt and make poor financial choices.
Mm-hmm.
It eats away at me because I truly do want to help people financially. I see a lot of these choices that people make, and like I said, my income is solely based off them making poor choices. And I kind of need some direction. I have an idea where I want to go. I think I want to get into financial advisory or financial planning. The challenge that I've seen is a lot of these financial advisory companies, they recommend whole life, a lot of unnecessary insurances. They recommend people going on an LOC with their mortgage and using the remaining to put towards investments, and that's not in line with what I've been taught with Dave Ramsey and you guys.
Right. Well, I would tell you that I think you're doing too broad of a brush stroke there. I don't think everybody does that. And I think what you've got to do is you begin to do your homework. So, for instance, I know here in the United States, we've got lots of smart investor pros. You've heard that phrase. You're a Dave Ramsey guy. And these are men and women that they're not trying to sell you some product, pushing you to whole life. They are in alignment with what Dave Ramsey and Ramsey Solutions teaches, what I believe. And so you can find great financial advising and planning firms where you could come in and there's no high pressure for you to pitch a product that you don't believe in, like whole life and those silly mortgages. So when it comes to financial advising and planning, as long as you are doing the basic stuff and you're not pitching, you're not feeling a product that you're being pressured to pitch that you don't agree with, then you won't run into that same situation that you're running into now. And I just don't believe that every, financial advising planning company in Canada is doing that. And so you look hard enough and you figure it out, and then I think eventually you could do your own thing once you're fully qualified.
I guess my biggest challenge though is I feel like I'm stuck in my current career because it's all I know right now and I do very well with it. However,
nah, you know what? You're not stuck.
I don't know how to do the transition.
Well, okay, that's why you called. So you think, and this is the wrong narrative, but I understand why you're there. You're going, this is all I know. It's all I do is finance. No, break down. Let's strip away the fact that you're providing a loan, a risky loan, a bad loan, whatever you want to call it, to people so they can get a car. Strip that out of it. What are you really doing in that job with those people? What are you actually doing? Describe the work from a role standpoint, not a specific service or product. What is the role you're playing?
Well, I buy credit leads and I pitch people on credit, how automotive finance is going to help their credit.
I know. So tell me, what is that role that you're playing?
I guess I coach people on credit. It's funny. I do implement a lot of things that I've learned from Dave Ramsey into, except the debt part, right?
Yeah. So I would tell you that there's no wrong answer to what I asked you. If you want to call it coaching, that's fine. I was going to say you're selling. You are persuading. You pick the word, right? You tracking with me?
Yes, I am.
So are you telling me there's not other jobs in the Canadian economy where you can sell or persuade or coach? I mean, essentially you are convincing people. I think it's a straight up sales job is what I think. So it sounds like to me, you're getting a list of people and you call them up and go, hey, I can get you in a car. And you're trying to show them how. So that's that coaching word that you threw out there. But you've got really good experience in closing people toward a product. Because if you want to call it this, the loan is the product that you're selling. Am I right?
That's correct, yes.
So you're telling me you can't sell other products that you're passionate about? Of course you can.
I'm sure I can.
I know you can. So go ahead. No, go ahead.
I've helped people in my church that have reached out to me and asked me about finances, and I coach them on the baby steps and stuff like that, and I just have so much passion with that.
Yeah.
I bet you guys didn't have an office up here in Canada.
I know. But what I'm trying to address is the feeling of being stuck. You're not stuck because you can get out of this job within the next, I'd say, month, 2 months pretty quickly, or it might take you 3 or 4 months, depending on the job economy in Canada, which I'm not as familiar with, of course. But in the United States, we're now at 6.7% unemployment. Depending on what state you live in, the job economy is really, really healthy. But here's the point. If you need to make a transition so that you feel better about yourself and you're not selling automotive loans, go sell something else that you are excited about, the product or the service that is not anti your values and it's something that helps people and you can get excited about it. And that becomes your transition day job while you are getting qualified to be a financial advisor, which in the United States does not require a degree. It's licensing. So you take the certification and then you get in, and you've got great experience in sales and customer coaching, counseling. I think you're a very attractive candidate to do a lot of jobs while you are getting qualified to do the dream job of financial advising and planning. Thoughts?
I do agree with you.
Okay. So what's your next step? I know what it is. I want to know if you're tracking with me.
I'm hesitant to leave what I know just because it's the comfort zone, and it's also for sales jobs. I haven't seen too many people that make as much in sales up here in Canada other than automotive finance.
Okay, then. I think I'm going to shock you with what I'm about to say. I'm fine with that. But you told me, you started off the phone call going, this job, you can't stand it because it's, against all of your values. It's not an unethical job. You're not doing anything wrong. You just don't agree with people doing stupid car loans or debt at all. Okay, but it doesn't make
they're going to make those. They're going to make those decisions whether I'm involved or not, I guess.
That's my point. So this comes down to you deciding, because you're just scared. And I don't want to step on your toes too much, Robert, but you're just like every other human being that's in this situation that you've described. And I've talked to many, 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 many. And here's where you sit today. You would rather be miserable than uncomfortable. That's what you just said, even though you didn't say it that way. You'd rather be miserable in a job that you really don't have any connection to and you can't stand, you feel bad about yourself every day. But you'd rather deal with that than put yourself in the position of getting another sales job and doing something that you haven't done technically before, but that's garbage. You have done it. Any sales job I put you in, you should be extremely confident in your ability because that's what you've been doing for a long time, successfully selling. Now, I'm not telling you to leave this job. I'm okay if you stay until you get qualified and then you get connected and then you get started with the job in the financial advising. That's fine. I don't mind if you stay, but I'm just letting you know your big holdup is you.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy what I do. Like I said, I have a great time. I'm in a very healthy environment, but it's just, I think I truly want to help people get out of debt instead of put them in it.
Okay, fine. You've talked yourself into staying, and again, I'm fine with that, but I'm telling you, when you started the phone call, you didn't sound like a man who enjoys his job. So again, I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to push you.
I do enjoy it. I just don't like the position that I put people in.
All right, so then stay and start getting qualified right now for financial advising, financial planning. Okay. What do you need? And here's the 4 questions in stage 2 of my 7 stages. Stage 2 is get qualified. What do I need to learn? That's the education question. What do I need to do? That's the experience question. How much is that going to cost me financially? That's the economic question. The 4th one is how long is it going to take me to finish this plan and get my ticket to the dance? That's the expectation question. You answered those 4 questions, Robert, and now you got yourself a plan.
Perfect.
Yeah. Go for it, man.
Get qualified. What do I need to do?
Yeah, what do you need to learn? What do you need to learn? So that's your qualifications. Like there is a certification process in Canada, I'm sure, just like the United States, right?
Yeah.
So what courses, testing would you need to complete to get your license or whatever the certification is in Canada to be a financial advisor? That's the what do I need to learn and do in this case, okay? Now, second part of that what do I need to do experience question is what's the entry level going to need to look like for me to get in and work my way up? And so what's it going to cost me is what do the courses cost, the licensing certification process, what does all that cost you? And then if you got to take a step back for an entry level, what's that going to cost you? You got to think through all that. So you got a plan, then you're not scared. And then you got a ballpark idea how long it's going to take. Make sense?
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what I called in for.
You the man. I appreciate you listening up there. Tell all of our other friends in Canada about the Ken Coleman Show as well. Thank you, sir. 844-747-2577. Okay, Joe, big announcement. I didn't even tell you this. I didn't even lead off the show. But if you are a marketing professional, you have experience as a marketer, and you like what I'm talking about. You love the mission of helping people discover who they are and how they become their best selves in and through their work. We are hiring a marketer for the Ken Coleman Show right now. The job is posted at DaveRamsey.com. Kelly Porter, I should brag on Kelly for a moment because we lost Kelly to being a mama, and she's an awesome mama. She had her first little baby girl, and she decided with her husband that she wanted to stay home. And I was very sad, distraught, but happy for Kelly. Kelly's amazing. She's done so much of what you experience on the Ken Coleman Show as far as free resources. But nonetheless, Kelly is a full-time stay-at-home mommy. But we need to replace Kelly. So here's the deal. Here are the qualifications from me, and you can go check out the job at DaveRamsey.com. Here's what I'm looking for in a marketer for the Ken Coleman Show and all the things we do. I need somebody that's enthusiastic about this mission. You love the work that we're doing here, the stories that are happening day in and day out on the show, the clarity, the purpose that's being recognized and achieved. I want you to be fired up about it. You got to believe in this. So you got to be enthusiastic about the mission. You need to be efficient, somebody who gets stuff done. You're a process detail type person, but also the ability to be creative. That's the last piece, creative. So enthusiastic about the mission, very efficient. You're a self-starter, get things done type person, and you're very creative. Writing, thinking, all that. That's what we need. And if it's not you, but you know somebody that's looking for a great job in Nashville, Tennessee, one of the best cities in America, and the best company in America, Ramsey Solutions, you're watching me right now, or maybe they listen to me and you know that, spread the word. Maybe you can come join my team. We'll high five. You'll hang out in the marketer sits back there behind the glass with Joe and Madison and Nathan many, many days. And we need that help. We got a lot to do in 2021. So there you go. 844-747-2577. 844-747-2577. Okay, to the chat room we go. Luis writes in, which would you say is better for getting hired? Getting a degree in a certain field or getting work experience in that field? Work experience. Not even close. Now, let me explain that. Outside of being a lawyer, a doctor, physicist, certain career fields where you must have both, that's my answer. But obviously in some of these fields, you got to have the degree, which then gets you the chance for the experience. But I'm talking about, I'm assuming this question is asked in the context of, it's not being a lawyer or a doctor. And so the degree might look good on the resume, but experience, which is more valuable, and it's experience. Just like the caller we got earlier, Robert. No, I'm sorry. It was Mike. Mike's been doing industrial engineering work. Doesn't have a degree. What's more valuable for Mike right now? The fact that he's been doing a lot of the work of an industrial engineer, and then we told him, look, go get some more, training and certifications. But at the end of the day, people want to know that you can do the job. And if you got experience, it's extremely valuable. Think about it. Less training cost for them, less ramp up time. You can get in and go. All these things are very valuable. So there you go. Carla writes in, I want to move up to a supervisor position at work, and I have an interview lined up. However, I'm wanting to leave my current role because of the toxic environment around it. How do I explain this to my hiring manager without harming any chances at the position? You got to be careful, and that's the reason for your question. But I don't think you have to tiptoe around this and make this big, what do I do? Simply put, I wouldn't mention the toxic environment to your current, to the hiring manager, because then that creates a whole lot of potential back channel conversation and all kinds of things, makes you look kind of negative. I think you go all positive, and it's all about your professional and personal growth. So you go to the hiring manager, hey, listen, I want to leave my current role for the supervisor position because I'm passionate about leading and serving people. And I want to grow professionally. And the way I know that I'm going to do that is by taking on more responsibility here and adding more value. So that's how you do that. And then it comes across as very positive. All you say is great things about your current position and your current supervisor. You just take the high road. That's how you do that. 844-747-2577. We might get back to the phones, but here we are. People are going to be looking for jobs in the new year, getting out there, and I want to teach on some really practical stuff that I've already written on. This article, you can get it in full and a lot more than I'm going to share right now, but I want to address common interview questions that you will get or potentially could get, and what are the answers so that you're prepared, okay? So this article, you can get it at kencoleman.com under articles. Also, a lot of this information is contained in our How to Win the Interview guide at kencoleman.com, which is free. One of our 3 get hired guides. Okay. So here we go. I'm just going to hit on 3 of these because we don't have time to get to all of them in the article. There's more in the article, but I just want to hit 3 really quickly, but I'm going to be thorough. You ready? Here's one question. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, quick context on these questions. Sometimes this is a lazy question by hiring managers. They're just kind of get to know you, break the ice. But sometimes they're really looking for how you answer it. Let's come at it from that point of view, because this is how you should answer it regardless of their motive. First, here's what not to say. Well, I'm an Enneagram number, blah, 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 or my Myers-Briggs or my DISC and all this. And you start rambling on about all the minutia of you. I'm the 7th of 9 kids. You know? I grew up in Red Dirt, Idaho. My mom was a truck driver. My dad was a coal miner. Right? You know, spare us the life biography. If they want to know that kind of stuff specifically, they'll ask you. So here's what I think you should be doing. I think they're trying to really get an idea of the professional you, because that's who they're hiring. And of course they care about you, the person, or you hope they do, but they're not looking for the biography as much as they're looking for the professional profile. So I think you should structure your answer something along the lines of, I've always loved doing this type of work. It's always fired me up. I've always been interested in it, whatever. And as a result, I've done this, and this, and you know, this is the kind of stuff that fires me up. It's why I'm so excited, so grateful to be here. So you're basically connecting yourself to the role and to the mission of the company. It's very relevant about you. Now, if they want to know more about your personal life, they can dig and they can ask. That's the direction you go. Here's a second question. Why did you leave your last job? Or why do you want to leave your current job? Something along those lines. Now, it's a common interview, and this one trips up a lot of people. You start getting into the bumbling stuff because you might be leaving a very toxic environment. You might not be able to just deal with your boss one more day, but you don't want to jump into that. But some people do. They just blurt it out. Oh, my current boss is a jerk. That may be true, but they don't know that. And you're talking to somebody who might be your new boss. If they think that about their current boss, what are they going to think about me? Why do they think that? Are they the actual jerk? It's a lot that just quickly spirals. So don't say things about how terrible your current company is or your last company was and how big of a jerk your boss was and blah, 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 blah. And I did this really stupid thing, but I didn't really mean to, but they fired me anyway. Don't go into all that. Now, anything they ask you, I'm going to tell you, always be honest. But don't just dish on everything. Here's how you pivot. So what you want to say is, you know what? I just really love the culture here at this company and what I've heard about it. I know somebody that works here, whatever the situation is. Give them context as to the positive reason you're leaving is because you want to be here with them. So flip that, spin that, if you will, that direction. You know what? Good company, good people, but the product, the service didn't really align with my values as much as this does. And, you know, as much time as I spend at work, I want to work in a place where it's in total alignment. So again, you take the high road, you're positive, but you give them the reason that you want to leave your current or why you left is because you're looking for something like they have to offer. And then finally, and again, there's more in the article, kencoleman.com. What's your biggest weakness or strength? Now, again, they're looking to find out if you're a bumbling goof, you're delusional. They're looking to see if you're arrogant. They're looking to see a lot of things here. And then they just want to know how transparent you are, how blunt you are. So here's what you don't answer. Here's what you don't say. I don't really have any weaknesses. I tend to fly off the handle at people when they don't do things my way. Whoa, slow down. Again, we want to pivot here, so this is what I recommend. So you want to take the weaknesses and say, you know what, I tend to be weak in this area, in this area, in this area, but that's why I apply for jobs like this, because I'm a guy or a gal that believes in playing to my strengths. So some of my weaknesses, the good news is some of my weaknesses are here, here, and here, but it has nothing to do with this job. That's a really nice sidestep, and you're in one fell swoop, you're being humble, you're being transparent, but you're showing them how you're self-aware so that you're not applying for a job that, in fact, highlights your weaknesses. And so then you focus on the strengths and go to the strengths and point those out. So you do a strengths and a weaknesses answer at the same time, but again, you're showing how relevant it is to the position that you've just applied for. So there you go. All right, don't forget, spread the word. If you or somebody you know is a great marketer, you're enthusiastic about the mission of the Ken Coleman Show and everything that I'm doing, and you get stuff done, and you're very creative, and you're looking for a wonderful company to work at, we are hiring a marketer right now. Go to daveramsey.com. You'll find the job there under Dave's Hiring. All right, that's going to do it. But before I go, I want you to know that you matter and you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.